We're doing it. This is Reading with Your Mouth, Mouth Breathers Guild official live podcast, comic book club review analysis. Yeah, this week we're going to be doing the legacy of Luther Strode, kind of capping off our 3-part series on this beefy, big, and beautiful collection I've got here with the complete series in kind of the omnibus format. I'm excited to dive into all of the Luther Strode things, but first, I'm going to always open up with our plugs. We're local independent artists, local to North Carolina, if that's where you're watching the stream from. I'm going to first plug Ben's and James Solomon's book, The Time Police. This is just a little teaser, but we have the whole book on Kickstarter that was fully funded. It's sent to the printer. They're waiting on proofs. It'll be sold at Heroes Con, and it'll be on the shelves at Acme Comics in Greensboro. Ben, what else do you have to say about Time Police?
Dude, you can go read it all right now at _Time Police, both on Instagram and Webtoons. I want to highlight behind me. Well, you can see one of them really well. The other one kind of is a little light. But our variant covers, Manny, our very own Manny, did a fantastic variant cover for us. And then a really good friend of ours, Siler Bedoya, did a homage to Lethal Weapon. So both of those variant covers we will have with us at Heroes Con, as well as whatever we have left will go to Acme Comics in Greensboro. And I will share this. So we did have, as a part of our Kickstarter tier, this awesome Time Police coffee mug, because they're police officers. They drink coffee. So we ordered these bad boys, and guess what? I didn't even rush this, and they turn these things around so flippin' fast. They're freaking gorgeous. I love justice. I hope you do too, as much as you love the Time Police. That's great. And we will have extras of these. So I think we have probably 5 or 6 extras. If you want one, and you want it before we are at Heroes Con, you can actually hit me up. You can DM me at Ben_Hill_art on Instagram, or you can instant message or DM the at the _Time Police account and let us know. I think we're selling these for $35. So if you want one, they are special and they are few. So you can get your own Time Police coffee mug. That's what I got, gents.
Heck yeah. And then, of course, Manny and I are the scribe and scroller of Renowned. This is a high fantasy sci-fi anthology. We got monster hunting. We got evil kings. We got mechs and cyborgs and wizards and warriors. And it is kind of monster of the week, monster hunting comic books. These things are a ton of fun. We had a lot of fun making them. We have a ton of these printed anthologies that we will have available on web stores soon. Otherwise, you can read it on Webtoons. Those links will be in the Linktree, either on my page or on this video when it uploads to YouTube. Got some more books from that. Here's issue 1, Renowned Search and Destroy, and Renowned Mech Bros is issue 2. These are a lot of fun. And then, of course, Manny himself has The Legend of Carl, his all watercolored Deep Rock Galactic fan comic. This thing kicks ass. It is a ton of fun. Love this book. Manny, anything you want to say about Renowned or Legend of Carl?
Go read it. It's up right now on Webtoons. We worked our asses off on it. We enjoy it. We're going to be making more. So if you want to find out when we do the next update, hit that subscribe, hit that follow button wherever it is. And don't forget to follow our Substack as well. Right, Kevin? We got our Substack somewhere?
Yes.
Yeah.
Substack is somewhere. Join our Discord. We are currently broadcasting from our Discord and on Twitch. If you join our Discord, you'll get immediate access to a community of creators, predominantly North Carolina, but open worldwide. We talk comics, we critique art, we talk about nerdy stuff like video games and movies that are coming out, pro wrestling occasionally, though not much recently. But, we have fun in there.
Yeah.
Super positive environment. If you're looking for just a good hang with a lot of people that just want to go out and appreciate what people are doing and encourage, and if you need just that little extra motivation too on seeing what other people are doing and get to be able to pick their brains, the Discord is just an awesome space for that.
That's right.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you, Ben. Fellas, let's talk the legacy of Luther Strode. To kind of recap where we last were, Luther Strode in Legend of Luther Strode was killing Jack the Ripper inside the giant mini mall. Him and Petra went outside and were surrounded by cops. And this story picks right up where we left off. It first begins with a little prologue prelude to the original.
I was going to say, it doesn't pick up right where it lets off. It actually takes place a long, long time ago.
Yes. We get ourselves a little prologue with our story of Cain. And honestly, for this run of Luther Strode, the legacy, Trad has gone full
trad.
Full trad. He is frying the bologna and putting it on the biscuit. You know what I mean? This man is going absolutely apeshit on these pages, and it is an absolute treat. This is where we get pure, intricate, and detailed trad, just billions of lines on every panel. I just don't understand how he does it. This is like fully a master working right now with this book.
Yeah, this is where I feel like it all clicked right here, man. So you see a lot of similar things he was doing in the Doctor Strange book and stuff, with all those patterns getting crazy. So many panels on one page, and then like all these dudes. The first page you open up, and he's drawn a million guys.
Yeah. Then you go to that 2-page spread where there's all the action and just the landscape of dead bodies. Not even, I mean, there are piles, but it's just a landscape of death.
That is crazy. Yeah.
And I love it, because then you get this nice little shot of Cain. And something that, if you have not followed along with us for the story so far, so Luther found this, Hercules method, or like the strongman method, back when it would be that, mail away catalog on how you can go and get ripped yourself. That unlocked some kind of superpower. So in the background, there have always been these, what they called the bound people, which are people that have used that same method to become stronger and stronger. And we find that this Cain fellow in the Legend of Luther Strode, he's the originator. He is the number one, the alpha of this method.
Yeah, as you know, the first killer, Cain killed Abel in the Bible, and that is where our mythology is rooted. Love it.
Yeah.
And really, like, we can kind of dive into this as the book goes along, but I love the theme of kind of the analysis and understanding of violence. Like, that, it is a superhero book, sort of. It's like a deconstruction of the superhero genre. But Luther is a superhero. He's an aspirational superhero. He doesn't want to kill, but he understands it as a means of kind of getting what he wants.
Right.
And like, it is this constant struggle in the legacy. In fact, that is kind of the legacy he's seeking to leave behind, is that all the meaningless murder and death is not the way. But he is quite literally like a creation to murder and kill and like to eviscerate everything.
Yeah, he's trying to have some chill vibes. So trying to get rid of those not so chill vibes, you know what I mean? So he's on his way.
What I really like, and I wanted to ask you guys, because it is an overarching theme, so I want to just get your impression now, and we can discuss it more in depth as it goes. But I think the one flaw that you typically have with these kinds of stories is the good guy now just becomes like incredibly lawful good, and now is not willing to cross that line that they did prior, right? Oh, we learned the error of our ways. We're not going to go and we're not going to, kill people, even though, it would ultimately save thousands of lives. It would stop, a mass murder, things like that. What I love that Justin Jordan did is Luther doesn't adhere to that principle. He's not like, I will never kill again. He's like, no, I understand that death is a part of what I used to do, But if I can avoid it, I would rather take that path. And if I can't, then it just, whatever happens, happens. What did you guys feel about that?
I mean, oh man, you go.
I go? Okay. Yeah, I guess like him trying to carve a path to a new way, you kind of have to get rid of the old, even though, you know what I mean? Like, these people are crazy, murderous, monsters, right? And they just don't stop. And so he's like, let me try and reason with them. And then once once they show signs that they're definitely not going to change, they're going to keep going for it. And it's like, okay, I gave you my chance, or like I gave you a chance, and I tried to be friendly, and you're dead. So, I mean,
Did it bother you? Because I think a lot of times, in my opinion, the part I don't like is when the good guy just decides, I'm going to abandon everything that I did in the past, and I'm going to make right by never doing that again. So I'm just going to lock people up away in, like, Arkham Asylum, and I'll never take a life. And sometimes that just can become very annoying and tired of a trope.
right.
Um,
Well, I guess that's
So
how
I-
they messed
what it-
with it, right? Was because Batman
Yeah.
keeps locking up the Joker, even though the Joker just keeps going on killing rampages, right? With Luther Strode, it's like, you're not gonna go on a rampage anymore if I know you're gonna do it.
Yeah.
Like, you're trying to
And,
kill my
like-
girlfriend, I'm gonna kill you.
And it's a delicate line to toe, because I think that if Luther Strode were to continue on, I think it would kind of open itself up to more like logical and ethical plot holes and like flaws in its logic. Because like, to enforce your point of view through violence is fascism.
Right.
And like, but this book doesn't really give us time to like get to the ultimate kind of conclusion of that question, and like force Luther to really like reconcile with that kind of methodology. It's really like, it's more that like, hey, I'm going to stop like this origin of murder, and like at least do this one good thing where if I can't change people, which obviously he's not able to because it's a millennia
Right.
old force of evil, that I think just conquering the force of evil is enough for now, right?
But he does change some characters'
Right.
paths,
Yeah.
which I think we can, again, when we get to him, we can talk about it. But, I mean, I think what I really appreciate about this sequence, number one, it shows the power of Kane. So you get the oh shit factor about, well, we know that ultimately Luther is going to come face to face with this dude. And as we've seen in the past, like, they're not afraid to, kill Luther, even though, he does come back in Legend. But what could happen, right? Could Kane finally just be the end, and we go, we totally go Return of the Jedi on this thing and have a terrible ending.
Yeah, but I mean, also at the same time, like, to kind of extend the fascism metaphor, is like, it's such a strong moral obligation to fight the ideas of fascism that sometimes you have to squash it, like, with some sort of definite end. Like,
Yeah.
the ultimately correct thing to do, I don't know if maybe it was correct, but the end goal of World War II was like killing Hitler and disbanding like the Third Reich.
Yeah.
And like, I would probably say that that was a net good, even though murder is bad, So it's difficult. And I'm not saying this book answers this question. I'm not saying we should be answering this question. It's just kind of the question, right?
Mm. Yeah, I just draw pictures.
Well, I know we're talking about the end of life, but as we continue to progress, we very quickly meet another character named Delilah, and this is where
we see some dingus.
this is where we see.
Yeah, I don't want to dwell on the page for too long because there is full
don't want to
dong.
get blocked.
It's amazing.
It's a big
It's
old
amazing.
Good full
big
dong.
old dog.
There are several dongs and
the
several just genitalia in general. But dude, yeah, the pattern.
Yeah. It's like that's brilliant. That's fucking brilliant.
The vulva hallway. Yeah.
There you go. Thank you. But oh my gosh, can I tell you like
it's a great depiction of like eroticism and
Dude,
sex,
yeah,
like just like
it.
the way that all the patterns bleed together, and her mouth and her hair wraps around his naked body, and they're just like this mesh of line work together. Like it's just fucking, it's great, fantastic.
And if you were wondering why she was named Delilah,
because her dad was a big Plain White Tees fan.
I love just how he plays with history, or how Justin decides to play with history, because we're following Kane, but then, and Kane has this gorgeous flowing hair,
right?
Really pretty. He's a muscular dude, but then you also have this tie-in between Kane and then Samson.
Yeah.
And I love to see like that shaved head with Delilah betraying Kane or Samson or whatever you want to call him, and seeing him tied to those columns. And this, while I think everything we've seen before in like the first few pages of this ultra violence, we get the first hint of like my favorite design motif that Brad plays with this entire series, which is that repetitive square and building depth and building action just within the cracking of the pillars.
Oh, dude.
Like you start to see him messing with that pattern, and it becomes amazing how intricate and detailed he becomes with that throughout the rest of the series. Like you said, Manny, like he finally hits his stride, and there's nothing that Brad feels more comfortable with than just repetitive patterns. And I think this is just Trad having fun on every level.
Dude, yeah. What a guy. I wonder if he's like messing with, because I know with Doctor Strange he used a lot of a brush, like 90% of the book was made with a brush. And I'm wondering if he was starting to experiment with that on Luther Strode, Or, like
Everything seems so fine though.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like he's
pen,
just wearing out microns left and right.
Yeah. But I think he might be actually using a brush.
Which is even more insane if he is.
It's crazy. Because you do get like line weight variation and stuff like you would with a brush rather than just... I mean, you could get the same thing, I guess, sort of building it up with a micron, but there's a lot more fluid marks like on the nose, like Kane's nose or Samson's nose here with all the sweat beads and stuff. You see that like that thickness on the bridge, and then it gets thinner when it goes towards the point of his nose and stuff. Just like little things like that you can kind of discover. That's probably
the insane detail, dude.
Yeah.
I mean, you just pointed out the sweat on his brow.
Yeah.
And it's just in beads, and there's even parts where it collects into more of just this long stream across the shoulders, and holy smokes, like,
dude. And just the way he draws muscles is incredible.
Every muscle is like bulging out of the skin containing it.
And the veins.
The veins. Just down the arms.
Because I think he
into the pecs.
Yeah, into the pecs. It kind of reminds me of how is it Ian Bertram? Is that the guy he shares a studio with? He did Little Bird. But he does similar like veins and stuff like this, and I'm wondering if they're like sitting next to each other, like looking at each other's work and be like, oh yeah, like veins like that, and they're like, yeah, dude. You know what I mean?
He's got to be.
Yeah.
I also love the detail of colors in this book and like how Chad kind of communicates with them, but just like past to present, like good or bad to good, violence to like peace is like that red to blue. I love this transition.
Yeah.
And I want to know, have either of you listened to an interview with Justin on this at all?
No.
So from Strange, I always screw it up, Strange Talent to Legend, it's a 5-year jump.
Mm-hmm.
And from Legend to Legacy, it's a 5-year jump. Because here we see what's about to happen in the cop cars with Petra and Luther. This is fantastic, this escape scene. But this happened 5 years ago. So he doesn't call it out like, oh yeah, now we're 5 years in the future. This happened once again in the past.
Yeah.
So we get to see, like you were saying, Kev, we catch up 5 years in the past when Luther and Petra had just taken out Jack the Ripper at the mall. And of course they've been arrested because you've got two people in this entire murder showcase of
the only ones alive.
an entire devastation. Right.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the comment the cops made. Yeah, you are one of exactly 2 people found alive in there.
Now there were other survivors because Petra
Yeah.
did.
She did
my-
lead them, yeah.
My beautiful Petra saved people. So,
Oh.
oh my God, we get to see just again. Thank you, Petra, for being as amazing as you are.
Right.
Yeah, the full on, and like I love, like, this book has got the most of the squash and stretch that Trad has ever put on, like both like the characters having unique profiles and like silhouettes, but then like every facial gesture is just like scrunched and squished and wrinkly, and it's fantastic. I'm a big fan of how exaggerated and cartoony and funky everything looks in this book.
Yeah. Especially the facial expressions of the cops in the van with Luther. You get the one dude that's like super worried. He's like, dude, he's not even talking, you know? And then you just have Luther just covered in blood. And that first reveal of Luther being, you know, kneeled down, covered in blood. You have the vanishing
Twice
point
the size of
literally-
everybody.
Yeah, literally going right to him. You have the panel above it leading your eye right to, like, it literally follows the hairline. Like, it goes straight down through his hair and then down to his crotch. But
He has
there it
pants
is.
on.
He's got pants on. He's got pants on for sure. But you know, it's great. I love that reveal. You could just tell, like, you could feel like the slow move of the camera going through the van, just, and then we see Luther just kneel down. And then
I'm also
shit
like an
gets-
enormous fan of it's kind of teased here, but it's much more obvious as this arc goes on, is the motif of blood and how that's like physically transformative with what's going on in the interior of Luther. Like when he descends into violence and monster, like all of the white disappears and he's covered in blood. Like,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
and he's like, there are times like later on where it's just like he's in those fight sequences and his whole, like, his his white pants turn completely red.
Yeah.
Like, and I just like love that.
And what I love, and you pointed this out, Manny. So I think the one thing, again, that we get so wrapped up in the fight sequences and just how gorgeous and incredibly detailed they are. But it just once again seems that Trad is just a fantastic visual storyteller.
Dude.
Because this entire scene coming into the cop car, where, you know, if this was a movie, you start off with the exterior to show where you're at with the, you know, police patrol going down this interstate or this highway, and then just that bird's eye view zoom in to hit the cops in the front with Petra in the back, and then you cut to Petra in the back, and then we go kind of back behind Petra to see where Luther's being kept, and just that tight zoom in, almost like you're looking through the locks or the crack of the police wagon where they've got him kept. And the fact that we get to meet, there's at least one police officer who knows about Luther. So As we mentioned back in Strange Talent, Luther gets gunned down, and the guy that has the fantastic goatee, or is that like a Fu Man? Not a Fu Manchu.
A handlebar of some kind.
Oh, the handlebar. Dude, that handlebar mustache.
It looks so good.
So good. But he apparently was one of the cops that was like, dude, I was there when we killed him. Like, somehow he's still alive. I have no idea how. And then the white dude's just losing his shit.
And like the sequence of like the chains breaking on the bottom of the one page, and then the rocking of the SWAT van to cause the crash over the Golden Gate Bridge is just like amazing. Like, just a great way to kind of illustrate and animate what's going on. This arc, more than all the other ones, like, he's using a ton of like line work to animate. Like, he's like drawing
a lot,
like
too. Like, there's a whole
dynamic
lot.
lines.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whole lot of dynamic shit going on. Like, I love we'll get to them later, but those fight sequences where you get them in one panel, you know, like moving around, like you get all that action in one panel or one page or whatever. And then there's a lot of bleeding, like a lot of movement happening in one panel, which he's referencing the Italian artists that he was looking at beforehand. I can't remember his name, but I mentioned it in the past.
I lost it too. Well, what's the I always say the wrong thing. What's the podcast that you said go check out?
Strip Panel Naked. I know the host on that show has an interview with Trad Moore, and he talks about that. So go check that out. But yeah, he literally is just like seeing those artists, and he's just like, yeah, I'm gonna do that too.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah, when we get to the desert, like the desert is peak where he's really playing off of that influence big time.
Yep. And the chase scene too, where we'll get to later in that. I think, was it Tokyo?
Oh my
where they're
god. Yeah, Hong Kong.
Hong Kong. Yeah.
This sequence is like the first teaser of like what Trad is gonna do, and it's where he has the door and grabs the helmet and then throws the helmet. He picks it up, which is just like a great detail, and then on the page turn is just like whips it at the cop, and it like bounces, and then you see the little kind of spiral that's like, you know, I just like, he does this throughout the whole book with bullets and swords and projectiles and people getting hurt, like limbs flying. And it's just like such a fun way to do it, because like your eye is immediately tracking it, like it's drawn to it, and like you think it would be like a cheap trick or something, and it never is. It works. It's so much fun. The flicking motion here on the forehead does it too,
and the folds on his forehead, they're just
he just like melts.
He's just knocked out now. It's great.
The amount, again, just the amount of detail. So even these spark lines, because you pointed it out, to me, it's like he grabs the helmet but drags it across the ground up into this motion, and everything from the car tipping over and dragging across to the door splitting the cop car in half, the bullets, you know, typically, and maybe this is just because I'm an incredibly lazy illustrator, typically if you show the impact, you're just showing just the exterior lines of the impact, right? You look at how much detail goes into these sparks. It literally looks like some kind of firework or something, with as many lines and overlapping shapes and everything like that goes. And that's why, like, just that dragging motion of him dragging a metal helmet across the ground, and then to your point, just that flick. And you get that too when Luther drops down and has Petra behind the door as the shield. You've got sparks flying off the door, and instead of just doing regular motion lines, just showing like, oh, the characters are dropping down, it's almost like everything is just enhanced by these little sparks. Like, everything is electric. Everything's moving so fast. Dude, and all the mist or the clouds just showing.
Dude, I love the clouds and the smoke and stuff. He does it so well.
Yes.
Yeah. It's great. It
It's
just
so
adds
much
movement
color.
to it too, you know, like a Akira Kurosawa film where there's just like always movement in the background, you know.
Yeah.
It's almost like that. Like you could feel like if this was an animated movie, there would be smoke just animated, always moving, or the sparks moving, or debris, or whatever. It's always something.
I'm gonna call it out again because while I think the lettering is great, phonographics. This must have been one of the easiest things to ever do because Trad's artwork is so dynamic. You can imagine just again the little flick to the forehead, just a little flick or something extra to have that happen, or when he like does the punch just short of the cop's face and you see all that smoke. It's like those could be in there, but they're not really necessary with Trad. Again, your brain, number one, your brain's going, holy crap, how amazing is this? And it just kind of infers all the sound effects for you just because of how detailed and amazing this work is. But phonographics must have had one of the easiest jobs to just not have to worry about putting sound effects in most of these panels.
Just like you don't,
Well, it's also
you don't
like
want sound effects. Okay.
it's also like the panels are so busy in a
Yeah.
good way that like you can't really put anything else on top of it. Like there's
You
already
could.
like a very limited amount of dialogue in this story anyway. You know what I mean? Like there's just not really a need for it because the storytelling is all there. In fact, like I don't know if it's a complaint or just simply an observation, but like as this like whole saga progresses from Strange Talent all the way through, we just have significantly less like real story beats. Like the fight scenes just get bigger and longer, and like there's a lot less explanation, and we're just kind of flying through it. And it's not necessarily a complaint, but it is interesting that like almost every single issue of this book by like the halfway point of Legend like is just like like fight scenes for entire issues, and that's the
Yeah.
whole issue.
I
And
think
they look
just.
amazing.
Oh yeah.
But
I feel like
You
that
find
Justin Jordan's just getting bored with all those superhero books coming out with the superhero not throwing a punch. You know what I mean? Those piss me off.
mm,
and this
I want to
does
see some
become
fights.
right. This does become one of probably I think a lot of people complain about this in movies where you go to a location and at that location you're told, well, it's not here, we got to go to another location. They go to that location and they're told it's not here, you got to go to another location. And so unfortunately we do some hopping around, but I think it is one of the simplest just storytelling devices where you're and you find out Delilah, who will find plays more of a role by the end of issue 2, or I think it's by the end of this issue. She's the one that's driving them to these locations, and there is an ulterior motive that they eventually come out and talk about. But I mean, yeah, Kev, there's not a ton of motivation other than we're being told to go these places, so we're going these places, and for 3/4 of the comic book, it's going to be one of the craziest action sequences done that you've ever seen in your life. And don't worry, because the next issue, an even crazier action sequence is going to happen. So while there's not a ton of story development and plot being driven forward, other than we need to go find Kane, you're just going to freaking love it.
Like Justin Jordan's like writing this and he's like, wait, Treadmore is getting crazy. Okay, let's just it's just fights. It's just fights.
Let's go.
yeah, I mean, you don't really have to do much else if Trad is just doing the heavy lifting.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's like interesting, even like I don't know if you guys read in like Ben, you don't have this edition, but like Manny in the back matter, there's like the kind of they have their first emails to each other in there, which I think is great.
Oh, I didn't.
And then they have their first pitch, and then they have the script for the first issue, and like from like iteration to iteration, it's changing and evolving. Like the way that Justin Jordan pitches it is not how the story fully plays out and stuff. And I feel like that's probably just what continued to happen, whether that's intervention from Trad or an editor or whatever. like that natural, just like Justin peel back the layers and just like let's just tell this story. And like truthfully, like because it's told in these succinct six issue increments, like there isn't that need to really like expand upon the story. It's the same reason why John Wick works. Like you don't really need John Wick to tell you why he's doing everything and what's going on and who are these people and what is this organization and what is the hotel and why are they in the desert all of a sudden and this guy wants John to cut off his finger or whatever. Like you don't really need any context to buy into it. And I think like Luther Strode is operating on the same principle.
Yeah. I mean, with John Wick, dude kills his dog, and he's off. You know, he's already at a super low point, and you're on his side the whole time. You're like, oh, they killed his dog. I want that guy to win. You know? And then with Luther Strode, it's just like, oh, he made him kill his mom, so yeah, I'm on Luther Strode's side now. Let's kill everybody. You know?
Exactly. And his best friend.
Yeah. Sad face.
Did you guys recognize the callback to is it in Strange Talent? I don't remember this being in Strange Talent, but I know in Legend they do a callback to Legend right here. When we get into the woods and we catch up with Luther and Petra.
Oh yeah, where he pops behind her.
Yeah.
Yeah, the recurring joke of he's just silently sneaking up on her. I love that he gets bigger and bigger.
Dude, yeah, he gets so big. Like this one is just like, holy shit.
Yeah.
This one also, like, I don't know if it's just me, like, in my observations, like, but I get big Goku vibes from him in Legacy. Like, he just feels like full Toriyama, like DBZ fighter.
Yeah.
It's definitely that, for sure.
Oh my gosh. When they start, I don't know, it's not DBZ, but when they start playing up I can see how this fight's going to go, and they'll do that in this issue, but they'll do it later on as to, I can see all your future movements and everything like that. I think that's so amazing from an artistic perspective, just to show action when, really there's a conversation going on. So even in plain conversation, things continue to keep your eye moving.
Yeah, like this sequence right here when they're just both talking and then you get the blue figures of them fighting. Like, I know what you're going to do, then I know what you're going to do next. But I know that you know that I know that you know that I know.
That real anime shit, like Death Note.
Yeah.
No, yeah.
So then I did this.
And we meet the twins, which I shared something with Kevin, and I'll share it with you, Manny.
Yeah.
After we get through this twin sequence, that I don't know that it's in the version that you guys have, but these kind of preppy, bratty.
Yeah.
They call them the twins. They're brother and sister, but not really brother and sister, which I can give you more information on that as we get there.
Okay.
I am obsessed with the panel where he gets shot in the head, though. Just like the speed lines and the force and the flop, and then like just
the blood ripples.
Yeah.
Behind him.
Dude, the movement that Trad does, like especially with the punches when he stops a punch and then you get that circle of like smoke, like the
impact.
Yeah, and then just the impact of the bullet. Wow, all the folds just go to the center of the face where the bullet is impacting, and the eyes are smushing in. Yeah, that's insane.
It's so fucking.
That's
cool.
My girl Petra. Oh man.
Yeah, and again, like that motif, like you were talking about, with the kind of squared, broken glass, cracking texture.
It's perfect.
I just kind of like stopped and stared at this page for a while when I was reading it.
Dude, it's just there's a lot of symmetry going on with Trad's pages.
Brock, you're the first person in the chat.
7, 8, 9, 10. Dude, between these two pages, 10 panels, and there are 4 words on 2 pages.
It's amazing. I love it.
The rest of it is visual storytelling.
There's got to be more like examples of just like less text on more pages. You know what I mean?
Oh, I mean, yeah.
As we go through it, And just like this is, and then this is when this whole like issue just goes into full fight scene.
Yep.
I love we get the great animated sequences. And Brock, I read your chat. I see you. I hear you. I love you. Legacy of Luther Strode. Did you read it? Did you read it, Brock? But this bouncing off of the fence.
Oh yeah.
I love this sequence.
Dude, I love her skidding out of the window and him jumping
Oh
out.
my gosh, yes.
You just
I love that.
definitely an anime moment. And then the grabbing by the hair and flipping. There's a lot of just like this kind of animation going on that Trad's doing. You know, it's just those key frames. You know, there's keyframe 1, and then there's the next keyframe, and you can just imagine what happens next. But then, and they just flip over, smash into the ground. Some wrestling shit going on. It's great. It's so cool.
Brock says, "Tell Manny he smells like wieners."
Okay.
There you go.
Where are you? Where are you, Brock?
He's in my chat.
Brock's over in the Mouth Breathers Guild chat.
All right.
Damn it, I gotta find. So the twins have names. I'm trying to find the names because the dude gets taken out. I can't remember his name. I can't remember either of their names.
Okay. I'm here too.
Do.
You just never read. Shut up, Brock.
I am a big fan of how many wrestling moves are employed in these issues as well.
Oh yes.
Because here we got kind of that German suplex going,
Uh-huh.
and then like there's a full-on power bomb somewhere in this collection. I don't remember.
The
which
power
issue.
bomb's toward the end, and the power bomb is freaking gorgeous.
Yeah, the high kicks. I loved this sequence of her chasing over the rooftops.
Yeah.
As Petra is like
Yeah.
biking down the hill.
That sequence that you're talking about right there, that is like ripped right out of like the Italian artist that Trad Moore was talking about. Because there's a sequence where it's like the Hamlet, right? I believe the dude did Hamlet by somebody, and there's a scene where he's walking through the foreground, and it's one scene and it's multiple text boxes, but it's easy to follow because it's like you're going from like an inch down, an inch down, an inch down, and reading the next text box or whatever. But it's a sequence like this where you're following Petra down the hill, you know, and you're reading what she's saying. You've gotta be fucking kidding.
And like that's that dust line to like, you know, all the lines just it's fantastic. I also just like when I see panels like this, I'm just like, you can never blame Trad of being lazy as an artist. You know what I mean?
You can never
like,
call him lazy.
Everything's in there.
You kidding me?
Dude, again, that impact of the girl hitting the ground, and then again, just that title motif.
Dude.
Just had a lot in this sequence.
It's so much movement going on. Like you see the ripples. It's like the slow motion, like watching Mythbusters, and you see Lars Ulrich hit the cymbals in Mythbusters, and because we're watching how like instruments are affected with movement, and this is it. This is what a freaking cymbal looks like when you hit. It just goes, wow, it just starts bending and stuff like that when you look at it in slow motion. That's what I think. That's what I'm thinking of when I see that. It's just like almost like a tidal wave. It's great. It's so cool. Trad's the shit.
And like I also love that he could have like animated like his sense of pacing is fantastic. Like, he could have animated things differently, but we have, you know, him jumping off the bridge or over the bridge, excuse me.
Yeah.
Flying through the air, going for the FedEx truck, and then missing, and then fuck, and like choosing to do that rather than like, you know, some of this like skip and jump sort of like follow the line panel work.
Yeah.
Like it's just that pacing where it just works. It helps break things up, keeps things dynamic and engaging. This is hilarious when he grabs onto the sports car and he says, "Go faster."
Go fast. Okay. Yes.
He's ripping the metal off the side of the car.
One I love too, when you see him pulling up next or up behind the FedEx truck, there you see his fingers along with ripples in the side panel of the car. Yeah. It's like he's just messed this dude's car up, but this guy's just like, okay, I'll do what you say.
Yeah, you can see.
when the female twin, oh my god, it's just the ultra violence in here. She flips through the FedEx truck driver's side window and puts both feet through this dude's
that
head.
scene was crazy.
Yeah.
And it's not just like, she kicks his head off. Like, his head melts
Yeah.
around her legs. It's insane.
For some reason, it made me think of, is it, what's the, oh man, the Living Dead, the Dawn of the Dead. Dawn of the Dead, when the dude's head gets pulled off.
Ripped apart. Yeah.
But you like hear him screaming and he's like, you know, that's what I think of when I see that.
I love this too, when they come at each other in midair and Luther just positions his hands like one on the arm, one on the leg, and just flips her. And just the motion lines that he has, just showing that movement of her just spiraling in the air. But don't worry, she's still pretty badass, so she lands on her feet.
Yeah.
So, Brock, for context, Luther Strode is basically it's kind of Goku. Yeah, you're not wrong in that assumption. We were talking about I was talking about how it reminds me of Goku earlier.
Yeah.
But basically, it's Luther Strode finds this old comic book ad called The Hercules Method. And he trains, and it's like this form of like workout and mysticism that turns him into this huge, jacked, murdering machine. And at the center of this like
Baki.
murdering machine, Baki, yeah, this is a fair comparison. Basically, he becomes this murdering machine and decides he wants to be a superhero, but the people who developed this like murder cult are millennia-old evil murderous beings, and Luther Strode has decided he's going to undo the sins of all of these crazy murderers and try to put them on the correct path of, you know, justice and peace or whatever. And so he's just finding each member of this murder cult and fucking annihilating them.
Yeah,
it is crazy. And it's Trad Moore. I don't know if you've read any Trad Moore work, Brock, but he's one of the best living artists, full stop.
Yeah.
He's absolutely amazing. Just super intricate, great speed and motion and animation what he does. Tons of detailed line work.
Great
He's
design.
just super expressive. Great designer, great visual storyteller. Just master of the craft.
Started trying out lettering in the Doctor Strange book too, because he was doing those title pages, and they're looking great.
That's
looking great. He was just like, I want to try it, so he did it, and it looks fantastic.
Yeah, if you haven't read them, you got to check out Doctor Strange Fall Sunrise. That's the Doctor Strange series he did last year. You got to check out Silver Surfer Black. That shit is crazy.
I need to do that too.
He's got a Venom thing and a Ghost Rider thing that I haven't read.
The Ghost Rider thing's freaking amazing, because think
it
about Brad doing amazing action with a car, with like a old hot rod.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm into that.
Ghost Rider and a hot rod. And New World. New World is a very Brad kind of solo book for Image. I think it was only a 4 or 5 part series, but I've seen the trade at Acme as well.
Dude.
He should be at Heroes Con, so make sure if
is he confirmed?
I've seen rumors, but mostly just in his posts on Felix Comic Art. So nothing officially announced though.
Okay.
Don't play with my heart like this.
Dude, I want to see him again.
Same.
I only got to hang out and talk for like 5 minutes last year. I'd love to pick his brain.
It's gonna be crazy stacked at Heroes Con this year.
Oh yeah. Gosh.
But not only do we get amazing action, we also get Petra, my girl, throwing a motorcycle right in this chick's face. And I love, again, just Luther being there. Petra's going to get into trouble, which she's amazing. But yeah, he grabs her backpack and like pulls her away as the motorcycle hits the twin and just tosses her up in the air. And that, again, that spiral of smoke, just showing so much action, but it feels so light and just draws your eye through that panel. Oh, it's so amazing. And you get just that playful banter between the two of them.
Right.
You know,
They
Loser
do
and
this
Petra
throughout. They do this like throughout all of the stories, but you get that like intense anime evil stare. But then when it's a moment of tenderness with Petra, his eyes really soften and get those like highlights and shine. But then like, you know, you see it literally like evil, evil, no eyes there, cute, soft and tender, and then pure menace, like murder in his eyes between these two panels. Like,
But he never goes black and red in this book. Like there
Yeah.
was a time in Legend where he was gonna lose himself and his eyes would go black and red, and he stays pretty chill.
Yeah. Never
Dude, the
turns after
truck
that
going
moment.
off the cliff.
Yeah, this
Oh my
this sequence is sick. I love this. So I just like
yes.
kept going back to it, but just like this fucking spiraling of the railing, just and then he jumps onto the truck, and then the twins jumping towards him. You see the hand, and then Dodge throws the driver out. She goes in there. You see her little feet dangling out, and then he starts running up the side like Spider-Man in a video game, and then boom, it's so good.
Yeah, the explosion at the bottom.
That's
And
insane.
I love Petra running to the edge of the cliff. All right, that big idiot is going to be right behind you. He's going to be there. He is. And then you turn the page and it's just, I am. I hate you so much. It just punches him.
Just a little cute heart at the.
Oh, man. Yeah, kissing her on the top of the head. Yeah. That little heart over the top. Again, we talk about anime influences. That is just straight up, you know, kiss,
dude.
Little heart.
I love this, the bleeding into the next panel, too. Like, we see them on the cliff in the car, right, of Delilah, and then it bleeds into a close-up of Delilah, and then we'll get even further with those kind of tropes or those little design choices later on in the book too. And yeah, but like after reading this again, I was like, okay, like I've seen this before, and it's because of trad, and then that's definitely what influenced me later on to like bleed panels within panels. So thank you, trad, I love you.
Yeah. So amazing. And to cap off my issue 1 on the back, you get this awesome art of Legacy of Luther Strode. I assume you guys have this in your...
it's in the back matter.
So do you know who draws everything on the back cover for Legacy?
Nah.
Felipe Sobrero.
Hey. Love it.
Yeah, these are all Felipe. So the guy that's doing all the colors is showing off his art skills in the back. And what I will say, so I end issue 1 in the same way you guys are ending everything. There's nothing extra in here other than a preview. But, and I don't want to go into each and every one of these. Starting at the back of issue 2, we get for the next 4 issues, a little mini, like 4 to 6 page arc called The Twins. Oh, no. And The Twins is written by Trad Moore, illustrated by Stephen Green.
Oh, wow. No way.
Which, yeah. If you start to see just that interconnection between all the artists, Stephen Green pops up and does these little mini shorts talking about just some of the twins' past when they're kids. So the girl is actually adopted by the boy's family. And I was flipping through these in the background to see if I can find anything. And I don't think they have names. I don't think their names are said once, even in the backstory that translates. So,
I don't need it.
Yeah, unnecessary. I mean, but it also just allows Brad to show, hey, I can write enough for another artist who's excellent in their own right to make a really cool and interesting story about these characters. Now, don't get me wrong. These characters are not good in the book, and they're not great people even in the 4-part short. So, but really cool if you have the individual issues of Legacy to have that in the background.
Hell yeah. Now, for the sake of time, we are just getting to issue 2. We've been sitting here for an
We're
hour.
already 30 minutes in.
Yeah, we gotta just fly through
We're an
it.
hour in.
Yeah.
So we gotta
You are an hour.
pick
Dang.
up the pace. I'm not trying to sit here for 6 hours and
Yeah.
talk about this book.
Which we could.
But Delilah takes our crew up to Russia. I love the smuggling sequence. All of the guns. The coffin feels appropriate.
Yep.
The constant recurring love for guns with Petra is endearing and wonderful. And this is kind of where we start to get into more meat and potatoes, the lore and exposition of what's going on. You know, where are we going from place to place? Why are we here?
Oh, it's so cool.
But I love the name of this character that we're about to run into, called the Gardener.
The gardener. He's so
Yep.
good. He's just speaking
the
Russian.
And it's like, well, what does he garden? He gardens skulls. There's this entire paved path that they uncover to try to find out where the gardener has his little abode, and that cobblestone path is just skulls.
Yeah.
So
That's insane. There's a lot of dead people. That's crazy.
Yeah, the folds in the snow here as they kick open the path is fantastic. The looming threat of this forest, like, I really love the simplicity of just this whole issue. It's like, we got to go find the gardener because he's going to tell us where Kane is.
Yeah.
And, like, you know, God, I'm just.
the weapons hanging from the trees, just showing the danger.
Yeah.
The chains, being bound. And then this is where we just get half of an issue in Russian.
Yeah.
I've never done any. I haven't looked into the translation of any of this, but seems cool.
Yeah.
This
character is fucking sick.
Huge.
He's the Hulk, baby. He's the Hulk. Look
Yeah.
at that.
God. The Hulk's staying warm, baby.
Yeah,
I love whenever that skull is on his head.
Oh yeah.
That shit is sick. I mean, this is pretty straightforward. We gotta talk to the Russian, like, what do we think that they're saying here between Delilah and the gardener?
I can infer from later issues, but I'm interested. Manny, what did you think was going on here?
I figured it was just him just talking shit to these people, like, leave me alone kind of deal. And then I would assume that it's him just talking shit to Delilah. You know? That'd be my thing. Like, stay away from me.
Yeah.
I know what you did.
Yeah,
This.
I get that inference, right? Delilah's there because Delilah is essentially Kane's emissary.
Right.
And so he's assuming that she's come with somebody that's going to try to chain him up and bind him with the rest of those that are, bound with Kane that we saw at the end of the book. So that was kind of what I inferred as well.
Oh, interesting. That's not kind of what I'm thinking now in retrospect. Like, I'm imagining it's either a conversation similar to what happens with the samurai guy later, where they're like, like, we want info, and he's like, no, I'll kill you. But, like, I'm actually wondering if there's any kind of inside baseball talk going on between the two of them. Like, do you know, like, is he, like, telling her, do you know you've led this man to his death? Like, what are you doing? Like, Kane's not going to be happy. You know what I mean? And she's kind of like, instead of egging him on, like, is more like, yeah, kill him. Fucking kill him. We know that that's her plan all along, is to just get Luther killed in these sequences.
Yeah.
And it just continues to not work.
They call it out later on. It's either Luther kills the people that they're hunting down, or they kill Luther. And so for Delilah, it's a win-win.
Yeah.
Right. Way. They either, one of them takes out the other, or you get them to be able to capture one of them.
Man, this bunch, this is probably my favorite panel in this whole volume, honestly.
Through the trees?
Oh, dude. I love that one is awesome. But, yeah, going through the trees, I love the freaking tree to the back of the head.
Yeah.
Afterwards. Oh, it's so freaking crazy.
I love, okay,
What are you
Luther
loving?
when Luther gets lunged out into the sky and then whoosh, slingshots back right into the face. That's so good.
For Brock that's paying attention, and to put it in Dragon Ball terms, this is like Goku fighting Broly. And for every 5 punches that Goku lands, Broly just needs 1. And it just sends him flying. So cool.
Guys are making me want to watch that again. How dare you?
Dragon Ball Z is so fucking sick.
Oh, and then these panels, man, when she starts working her magic.
Using her
geez.
Delilah Hypno.
Yeah. And then we get that impact again with those circles of blood, the twirling. I love that melts of the panels, man. That's my favorite. Fuck the grid. Let's do the melts. Let's go.
Yeah. I'm into it. I mean, I do love grids for certain things.
Yeah, but I mean, conceptually, this also very much works.
Yeah, 100%.
Of course.
And of course, we see the dye of Luther going from pure white to pure red, and this is also the moment where he realizes he has to kill this guy.
Yeah.
So he rips his heart out. I love the green puke against the blood red here. It's fucking hysterical.
Once again, Petra pukes in a Luther Strode comic book. 3 for 3.
Dude, the blood spewing out is.
Oh my god, I love it too. And he turns around and grabs Luther and tries to choke him to death, while blood is it's like a fire hydrant out of both sides.
And then he just gets absolutely covered. And then they're just staring at each other while he's just falling to the ground. And then you see the steam coming off of him because of the heat of the blood. It was just so great.
Oh man,
it didn't have to be this way.
So that's why we spend so much time on issue 1, because like we were saying, the rest of these issues just become amazing fight sequences with not a lot going on. But so this is one thing that I was talking to Kev about before we jumped on here. This issue, if you follow along with kind of what Justin was thinking about, he was just saying he wanted to put you in the same position that you and Petra would be in. It's a nice little plot device, so you don't really understand everything that's going on, the hidden motives and things like that. You're an outsider just like Luther and Petra are, so having Delilah and the gardener speaking Russian back and forth, you're just like, all right, this guy's punching at me, I gotta defend myself and my friends. So
yeah.
Okay, hold on. Here you go. Commentary, Kev. You might like this just as an author, the writer speaking from the writer perspective. If you speak Russian or find a translation, there's some maybe surprising stuff in that conversation between Delilah and the gardener, which brings us to the question of why we did it that way. Well, partly because we can. It's one of the great things about Image Comics. We can do what the fuck we want. No one is going to push us to translate that because it might piss off the readers having untranslated Russian for half the issue. And hopefully it doesn't piss you off, but I understand if it does. There is a reason for this particular choice beyond because I can. Basically, the viewpoint characters of the series are Luther and Petra. This has been true for most of the Luther Strode books, and you may see events that Luther and Petra don't, but for most of this part, you know exactly what they know. I thought that was so cool.
Yeah, and that's important at this stage in the story. You never want it to feel like anybody has all the answers, and you don't want your readers to feel like they have all the answers. The whole point is to be kept guessing and wondering what's going to happen next.
Right.
I mean, quite literally for comic books, so they'll come and buy the next issue. But, it's not just a monetary thing. That's just how storytelling works. If you gave away your ending in the middle of issue 2, no one would read issue 6.
Right.
Issue 3 is probably my favorite of these, and it's purely because, chapter 15 as it is in this book, but issue 3 is so fucking cool. To put it in simplest terms.
Dude, I mean,
love the gunslinger.
The gunslinger is
Smoking
probably my favorite, because obvious reasons. But yeah, these sequences Trad just goes crazy and has so many panels on this reveal of the freaking gunslinger, man, and it's amazing. He's just smoking his cigarette, the cliche move for a cowboy, and then all these little panels with just like cling 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 cling, like the hammer getting pulled back, firing. Everyone's dying around him, smoke going everywhere. It's
Yeah, dude, the
amazing.
cartridges falling
Yeah.
with these lines.
And then him
I love
flipping up
that.
flipping up his bullets and then landing into the gun is definitely like an animation move. And then as you see the bullet, if you look closely, you see the bullet just flying up, right?
Flying right at that
Yeah.
dude's face with the switchblade.
And
But
more
if
of
you
that
notice,
front.
also in the background, Luther Strode is running down the street and has thrown that sewer grate. So it's all there. It's all there.
I didn't notice it on my first read, but that's really great.
There's just so much
So when you
detail
see
in
that
there. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Close up on
But
it.
dude, I love the gunslinger he knows what's going on. One bad guy that's alive takes off one way, the other guy takes off the other way. So he gives it the old crossfire and just the ricochet bounce down from the lampposts, taking out both dudes, both headshots, by the way. The finishing kill, both headshots.
But like I said before, the symmetry in this book, it's all over. Like the design that Trad is doing on all of these things, it's very like he's thinking about it constantly. Like the layout of the page itself, right? You got the design of those bullets ricocheting. You get it earlier when we get the reveal of Luther Strode in the police car, and it's very symmetrical as the line leads straight down the page, right? And you get a few more of them too. So he's constantly thinking about the design, what's happening in those sequences, and all just for the storytelling itself and finding those super crazy action moments like those bullets heading towards each other. So cool.
Dude.
So
yeah,
cool.
the sequence of him firing the bullet to stop the other bullet and then firing another one that goes straight through the like scope of the rifle.
Yeah.
I love the
Exquisite.
rifle just
Dude, it's a sphere too.
disintegrating.
Like how he disfigures that. You can put a ball where that disfigurement is, and then that's how he figured out how to dismantle the scope with all that debris and stuff.
So freaking good.
So great.
One thing that I have to point out, so it's a character note, and I love Petra, and everybody knows it. But more often than not, Petra's like, "Yep, let's kill these assholes."
Right.
And this is the one time that Petra feels bad about trying to murder anybody, because I love the "sorry about this, coolest dude ever" before she pulls the trigger.
It's because he's got all the guns and doing all that crazy shit.
She found a kindred spirit.
But I love the slow motion in that panel when she's getting shot at. No fucking way!
I love
Holy
that.
shit! So
Finally
fucking cool.
Yeah. We finally get some playfulness with the typography.
Yeah. Yep. It works fantastic. And all that purple. I love purple.
It's good. And this fight I mean, I love like, the gunslinger's jumping up, shooting at him, and then just like stops the punch with his cowboy boot.
Yeah, and
it's
then
fucking
launched
fantastic.
into the building.
Dude, it took me forever just to realize what's happening with the single punch. Like, I love the single punch at the top where the cigar comes flying out of his mouth. And while it's flying out of his mouth, he just turns his body around and then brings that back elbow in. Yeah. And so it's like a tit for tat, just showing that these guys are pretty much on equal footing from the start.
They're thinking,
and it like creates an amazing variety of like the capabilities of these murderers. Like we had the kind of shadow specter Jack the Ripper, and then we have like the giant bear living in the woods, and now we have this like gunslinger who's like basically bending space and time to his will to like fire. It's like Wanted, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's just like perfectly executed, and the fact that he's like cool and he's just like, nah man, I'm just this really cool guy who like kills pedophiles basically.
Yeah. And we find out just again, single panel. We don't need to know a ton about the gunslinger. He's not going to stick around for very long. But we find that the gunslinger has kind of his own motive for not wanting to be bound up, and it's because that he was a former slave. He's been along for since the 1800s.
Yeah.
And found this method. So I thought that was just a cool little character detail. Again, we get one issue with this guy, so we're not going to get much. So it was nice just having a little sympathetic backstory. Before we continue this fight and see one of the coolest freaking things. Again, he loves playing with squares and those repetitive patterns.
Yeah.
So when he grabs the tiles off the floor and flings them towards the camera,
Yeah.
holy smokes. I love that. It's like, well, you've got projectiles, I've got projectiles.
This animated sequence, jumping up and down the staircase,
Holy
fucked
crap.
with my head while I was reading it. I truly didn't even it took me a while to even fully understand it.
Not even running down the stairs, just bouncing.
Yeah.
And
Down.
he's shooting through the stairwells.
It's so cool.
Yeah. That's dope. And that movement.
Circles and squares, man.
Yeah. And then that debris on the
Oh,
glass.
here we come. Through the glass. So again, you pointed this out, the circle motif. He's kind of, done all the repeating squares. Now we're going to mess with how to do these spherical things. And you see it a little bit with Luther bouncing through things, that circle pattern to show just some kind of, I don't know, sound barrier breaking or whatever. But when he shatters that glass,
oh yeah.
And when he's going through the glass here in this bottom panel, and it just warps time and space.
well, and Luther grabs a hold of the side because he gets shot in both knees,
Yeah.
and then grabs the top to go smashing through another window. Oh, so amazing.
And just that warp, it kind of thinking of the Matrix when Trinity lands on the or is it when the helicopter explodes? Either way, you see the glass warping in that scene. Yeah, where she grabs the rope and slams against the windows. That's what
I know Trad's a big fan of the
Yeah.
Matrix.
So, I mean, big gamer, big fan of the Matrix, Italian people. Yeah.
It's all here. It's all there. And this also is a great instance. It's in the past issue, but it's especially here, the insistence that Luther's attachments are going to be his weak spot. They're trying to help. They're what makes him strong, but his attachments are what all of his enemies are going to consistently use against him.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And Petra's meddling here is constant bait for this gunslinger to fuck with Luther.
But I love it. I love Petra pulling on the door. Again, it's comical weakness, but her with both feet on the walls trying to open this locked door. Little help here. And Delilah just rips the door off the hinges, and it's Petra that goes, finally fucking useful.
No time, fuck off.
I know, I love in the way that Luther fights the bullets from the gunslinger by using the bullets from his knees.
Yeah.
Oh my god, so freaking brilliant.
The crumpling with this kind of distorted circle halo around the bullets.
Mm-hmm.
Fantastic.
It's not a perfect impact. It's very wonky, and I love how those circles tell you that.
Yeah.
In fact, fuck no. This is probably one of Petra's most attractive panels. I don't know why this is the one that's doing it for me.
All of them do it for me, so welcome to the club.
Welcome to the club.
Oh, man.
Yeah. Giving
I just love... I knew I should have brought the shotgun. Or the grenade. Both! Always thinking about weaponry. I love it.
And I love that that was not like an obvious thing for her character from the get-go.
Nope.
It's something that like becomes more rabid as time goes on, which I
Yeah.
think is really funny.
He just discovers the love of guns.
I also love as he's like trying to talk to her, like talk through this gunslinger, like don't kill people. Some people need killing. And then like that's what I fucking said, Petra. And then she does that zip motion, and that's one of the only onomatopoeias we get is that she actually gets a zip.
Yep, one of the very few. I love it.
And you know, it's painting this picture of like why killing may be justified. Like for a ex-slave to be killing human trafficked victim,
Right.
like
Mhm. People going into human
or
slavery.
perpetrators of human trafficking and saving victims. Yeah. Like that you're like, well, is that, such a bad thing that he's killing slavers? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like
right.
it's definitely putting it on the ball in your court as you're kind of like going through this. And ooh, I just got the follow from Alex. Let's go. Alex, if you're in the chat, hello, kisses. Miss you already. Um
Can we talk about these two pages? Because if the gunslinger wasn't cool enough already, this has
Right.
like my two favorite things that the gunslinger does. The like wanted-esque bullet.
curving,
You
yeah.
see the trail of him bringing the gun around, then where the gun fires. You get to see the bullet here. Just how freaking badass he looks. It's so amazing.
Dude.
And everything stops. And then, everybody,
On the boot.
I don't
Boot in the
know
face.
if you guys got this, but I'm not a huge fan of Delilah, and
Taste
I'm
my
glad
boot.
that the gun's here. Yep.
Eat my boot.
She gets a little taste.
She gets a little lip action on there, yeah.
Again, his attention to detail. I love it. The finger flick to the cop, and just the way like his head jerks back, and unfortunately, the cop kind of has what I have. He doesn't have a lot of chin, and so when his head flicks back, you just get that little dimple of a chin. And Delilah, when that boot, like the heel is down on her bottom lip, but her top lip is kind of curling over. Like again, just masterful. He thinks of all these details so well. The wrinkles in the forehead from being stepped on.
I love it. I love that this is a constant tactic for the gunslinger. And it's like, Chad's like, I'm drawing these boots. I'm gonna show them off. You know what I mean? Like,
Come on, y'all.
Oh, so good.
and he just yeets himself out of a building, and it's like, that's that.
Into the water. Yeah.
Alright.
And I mean, also, because maybe, ultimately he's like, well, we're not going to change that guy's mind. But he literally is killing people who are doing slavery. So, like.
That's what he whispered in his ear. He's just like,
Yeah.
dude, I'm killing bad guys, man. Leave me alone. He's like, alright.
He's like, just keep doing your thing. And he's like, all right, cool.
Yeah.
I do hear, like, a, Red Dead, Sergio Leone sort of like spaghetti western soundtrack as he jumps
Right.
out of the window.
Just...
Yeah.
That reverb
It's just
guitar
like,
and whistling.
That's it. When he jumps out of the window and disappears.
Yeah, that's that. Splash. I guess the assumption is that he like lands in some water. I mean,
yeah, it's water.
Yeah.
He survives.
He survives.
Splash.
Told me where to find Kane.
And then
Oh,
if you again, yep, more twins. Twins Part 2. And we see them stopping a bully.
Oh shit.
They use some pretty interesting means, holding the knife up to the dude's face. So again, not showing that they're great kids. But what I think is really cool is at the end of this one, because it's like, who's teaching these people? Well, we get a reoccurring character, or a character from back at Strange Tales, or Strange Talent. So we've got the librarian.
Oh, the librarian makes an appearance.
Here's a
librarian
books,
hands in the book. So pretty cool. And then on the back, Sobrero's back doing a Jackie Chan Super Cop version of
Yeah,
that's right.
Big fan of that.
Yeah.
Big fan.
Pretty awesome.
It's back here. Yeah, I mean, giving Luther Strode like Jordans basically throughout this run, basketball shoes. This is an exquisite choice. Like I really like the look of him constantly evolving, looking slightly more like Jesus as each one goes around is like pretty rad. The flowing white sweatsuit is definitely a vibe.
Oh, so good. And
The
then we're in
damage.
issue 4, or what chapter is this?
16.
16. And this is where we get to see that full. There's so many pages of this where he's taking after that. Is it a French artist, Manny?
Yeah, that Italian artist.
Italian artist. Just pretty much 0 panels. The whole page, like the next several pages, just pretty much flow. Oh, this 2-page spread. Oh, it's so gorgeous. So pretty.
I also love that they call Kane Big Daddy Kane in this one. That made me quite happy. That was very
And it's
funny.
got to be Petra too, right?
I think it's
Yeah.
Gianna Di Luca. I think is the artist's name.
Ooh, yes. Yeah, there you go.
Okay.
Well, there you go.
Doing Hamlet. He did the Hamlet books, and that's where Tread gets the idea of melting these panels together, especially on this page.
This page right here. It's one of them that they reference in that podcast. And this page with Delilah just walking, kind of showing her moving through the page itself. That's a big one that they called out in that interview with Brad.
He also mentioned
Honestly,
with the flow of like the environment, it's also mirrored with the clothing that they have on. It's very flowy, right? It's flowing through the hills, the rippling effect going on, and then he does it even more so with those exaggerated panels like rippling into each other and stuff. So he's constantly thinking about that design and making it work with the story.
yeah, I like it.
I love Petra. Oh my god, I love Petra. She's got that sawed-off shotgun.
Right, she's ready to go.
Oh man,
Petra does not own a single shirt that is not cut off at the midriff. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We're seeing belly button every time.
We see more
not
tattoos
true.
every
when
time.
When they went to the gardener's place in Russia, she was in full like heavy coat.
Yeah, I guess
love the
in
fact that,
Siberian tundra, she
Yeah,
can, keep
She
her
can't do the-
navel covered.
Yeah. And I love the wardrobe changes. Like, pretty much, it's Luther that's always in this white shirt and white pants,
Yeah.
and not much else. And everyone else gets bundled up. Like, Petra's hat in this freaking cracks me up. I love the Dune hat with like the neck guard, and Delilah's got the big flowing robes with the headdress. When they went to, the Russia, she was bundled up a little bit more. Luther was still in his. I think he double layered his t-shirts. That would be the one thing that he had 2 t-shirts on.
I mean, what size T-shirt is Luther wearing at this point?
Extra,
You know what I mean?
extra,
Is that like
extra,
a 6X?
Yeah.
Because it barely
Arms.
fits him anyway.
Yeah.
Whatever
How
the
much?
like Hulk Hogan used, but like maybe a few extra. I feel like it's probably.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think you can get a shirt that will make your neck look normal if it looks like that.
No.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where does the neck begin and the traps end? You know what I mean?
It's all one and the same,
Just
brother.
keep going. Yeah. Just blends into each other, just like the panels. Crazy.
Well, it's so like that. Like, where's his neck? You know what I mean? It doesn't matter, but where is it? That's what I want to know.
Where'd it go?
What happened, bud?
Yeah, it looks crazy.
He's like, I just meditated. I meditated and I did 1-finger push-ups, and I just got these. This is what happened.
You got to just read the Hercules method. Get
That's
with
right.
it, boys.
Yeah, come on.
Yeah.
It's really basic. Real basic stuff.
Yeah, when she strangles, I love this exchange where she strangles Petra and she pulls the pin out of the grenade. You magnificent little bitch.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, I want to call out too. We get Delilah anytime she uses her power. I love this warp panel here just before that, because she grabs Petra by the throat, and again it just shows. So Delilah is a very strong woman. Petra's just as strong and crafty, because her pulling the pin on the grenade, and she's like, dude, do it. Like, you kill me, I take us both with us. Like, whatever you want to do, I'm
And if that
fine with
doesn't
it.
work, he'll definitely kill you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was talking
I
about the
don't want
multiple
that.
images. I love the panel where you see like the multiple Luthers,
Yeah.
like looking at that attack line.
You know, don't you? Then why do you keep trying to get a better position for an attack and like showing
Mhm.
that side alignment? Like, yeah, that's sick. I love like the constant awareness. Like, it's hyper intelligent, hyper capable characters, but it never feels like they're always going to solve the situation that they're in every time, which is
Yeah.
like a really delicate balance. Like, this is a guy who can see what everyone's going to do 5 steps ahead of each other. He like is the strongest man alive who can rip apart vehicles with his bare hands. But like there's still this element of like I need to physically and mentally best something. Um, you know, it's great.
Yeah.
No, then we get old man butt.
Dude, old man butt. Let's go. Let's do it.
Old man.
Yeah, her getting pimped out as a young girl.
Look at that. Look at that
And she
butt.
doesn't get pimped out for long. She
Nah. She's like, fuck this shit.
No, she murders the hell out of that guy.
Dead.
oh,
Look at
the
that.
panel of her stabbing him in his eyes after she just slashed his throat.
That's crazy. He's
And
like,
again,
oh shit.
the motif of the blood red, you know,
Yeah.
like everything's greens and blues, and then when she murders him, it's just like it just is insane how much that red pops out.
Yeah.
It's fantastic.
You also get that
Like the
manga like look in that top panel that we're talking about with all the blood, with her eyes. That like motif that you see in a lot of manga with that vertical lines going down when it's just like intense moment, intense eye contact. Yeah. Yeah, that's great. But yeah, it gets covered in blood. It's sick. Now she's
love
infected
it.
with violence and murder. And then that
Dude,
the
him
heading.
getting the head cut off
dude.
is crazy.
He loves doing the
The
tongue
teeth.
thing, man. Yeah.
I love the
loves doing
top teeth that are just kind of traveling along with like how he had his head cut off.
and the eyes moving
like-
with it, like the eye bags. Like
Yes.
the force is so fast that whoa, the eye bags go
Crazy.
too.
Well, and they say, you know, she didn't want to be anyone's prisoner. So we're dealing once again with this being a prisoner to what it is. Like Luther doesn't want to be a prisoner to murder and violence. He wants to find another way. We had the gunslinger and the gardener who didn't want to be prisoners to, you know, have to be bound by Cain or any others. And then we find out that even though Delilah was saved, like for a moment, she was going to slit her wrists,
Right.
and take herself out because she didn't want to be any man's prisoner again. But Cain said, you know, I can teach you how to be strong. And dude, her revenge. So like you said, Kev, her dad sells her off, like pimps her out. Well, she comes back and sees old daddy, and
he's
flames.
yeah,
And we got more dong.
Yeah. Dude.
Don't want to dwell too much on the dong page, but man, I love for all you comic artists out there, don't be afraid to draw dongs. Okay,
That's
we
right.
want to see them just as much as we want to see the female form. Okay?
Dude, I draw dongs. I draw dongs
Yeah,
in my new
dongs are
book,
great.
dude. Dongs are coming
So-
back.
Help me with this. They have the scene between the two of them where we see like the Samson and Delilah thing. He destroys the forum. Who's the dude she's hanging out with after that?
Like in with the dong,
Yeah,
With the dong. Because
Is
that's
that-
not Cain.
Is that her?
is it Samson or a Greek god of some kind? Is there a
No,
I was
reference
thinking
to
of
like
Hercules because of the
mythology?
club. Doesn't Hercules
Well-
have a club in old paintings and stuff?
Maybe, but like somehow the wife gets like murdered,
Yeah.
punched in the face or something.
Yeah,
I don't
think
know.
it's
what
like the
happened.
same move that Luther Strode had with like killing his mom. You know, I think maybe he
Is that
killed.
is that Hercules? Is that what's it called? Like the Iliad. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
The
dude.
Odyssey.
Yeah.
Yeah, in the
I don't know.
Odyssey.
I don't
But
know.
I love that you kind of get through time now who all they've been around. You get Jonah
Yeah.
Arc. they name him. What is his name? The Chinese
Shogun.
or Japanese shogun. Yeah.
Some would need to be bound, and then
Is it Musashi? What's his name? Because he pops up in issue 5.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Yeah.
I'll find. I'm sorry. I don't mean to derail us.
Oh, is that who those people are in the next issue?
You get him. I don't think you get anybody else except for him. Like there's a couple of other warriors that show up, but I would assume that he is definitely the shogunate guy.
Yeah. Oh man.
I know he's named in issue 6. God, issue 5 has like my favorite death. So good. Actually, it's 2 of my favorite deaths.
2 of them.
All right, sorry, I derailed us.
How dare you?
Damn.
So that was into story time. After Delilah said all of her stuff, then she's like, "Strode, what do you think?"
No.
This is when he goes on his good guy rant.
Yeah, I mean, his good guy rant is great.
I love
People
it.
I've killed, they won't ever be anything else. Whatever they did, whatever they were, I ended that. That's not strength, that's cowardice. That's fear of what might be. I'll kill you if I have to, but I won't lie to myself about it. It'll be because I'm too afraid to make another choice, too weak to walk away. You think this world's a terrible place? It is. Make it better. Do better. Be better. That's strength.
Boom. Told you, Delilah.
And there's kind of your mission statement of the whole book.
Yeah.
Just be better.
And then, she pops that grenade out and throws it up in the air, and then Luther just like yeets the grenade. I love that. The subtlety of just like this, like, because everything else is so loud and busy, and you just get this like very subtle, tiny little grenade
Yep.
in the air.
And it's just going.
I love shoving Petra and like just watching her bounce down the sand dune.
Yeah.
Dude. I love those full body like drawings too of just him in the air. We get that in like the beginning of the book, where it looks like he's like calm, But
Full
in
Air
this
Jordan
one,
status.
right? In this one, it's full Air Jordan status. Yeah, look at that! Wow, they're just launching that grenade out into the ether.
Woof. And there we go.
There's
We
a
get
sound
some more
effect.
lettering.
Yeah.
It's really important. That explosion needed a woof.
It did.
Well, I think it does too, because it's like almost like that woof sound isn't like a huge explosion. It's like, an explosion in a
Far.
vacuum.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the
It's
force is
far
so
out.
strong that the explosion itself is like still moving. I feel like at least that's what it looks like to me. That force keeps going.
Ben, I see you have that held up. Is that because you're thirsting over that Petra panel?
Uh-oh.
Dude, the thirst is over just them covered in sand. Once again, showing
Yeah.
the folds. And Luther, I love Luther there is pretty much buried off and on. No, if I'm gonna thirst, it's gonna be the piggyback ride.
It's so
Ben's
great.
power fan.
Ride. I love that.
Let's see.
Onward, noble steed. And Luther's
I
just,
love you.
really?
I know.
Oh, dude, yes. There you go. There's the Star Wars moment.
Yeah, there it is.
But the onward, noble steed, and Luther's just like, really? And she goes, I'm about 99% fucking sure that we're going to die, so let me have my fun.
We're not gonna die.
And then
you get the I love you too, or I love you, I know. Oh, so good.
I love the reveal on the 2-page spread on the next
page.
So dude's beefy,
awesome.
man. Look at those wraps on that leg, man. Look
Mm-hmm.
at that. The designs, like the character designs in this is great. Definitely action figure status. Or pro wrestler status. For sure.
Big time.
That would be so cool. Take some pro wrestling figs and alt them to...
Dude, you can do that. Do some bootleg toys, dude. Someone
That'd
out
be
there's
sweet.
got to do it. You got a 3D printer? Let's go.
You can also just do like foam sculpts.
True.
I was talking to this girl that I work with, and she was like, "Yeah, I'm just gonna do that all weekend. I'm just gonna like foam sculpt a bunch of
awesome.
like toys."
Dude.
I was like, "Oh damn."
Should commission her to do one of Red Ranger or something.
That'd be cool.
Then we get twins. We find out. So this is where the twins thing takes a little interesting turn. Apparently, they spend. Yep. Well, not incest because they're not blood related.
Show that up again.
So we know what category you're looking up.
Oh
yeah. There you go. Teacher walks in. And
is he a owner in that panel? Oh my god.
He has a total rod.
You see
hanging out,
dude.
dude.
See the tent, man.
Yeah. He's got a massive like a teepee going on, more than a tent. And it continues. Like you got teepee here.
He's talking. He's like, yeah, that's right.
Damn, that is a really funny idea that we need to use for something, Manny. It's just somebody having a boner throughout like
As
multiple pages of material.
So the teacher's like, I'm going to tell your parents. And he's like, you're not going to tell our parents. And then threatens to throw her out the window. And he's like, never mind, I'm not going to do it. And then good old sis kicks the teacher out the window.
Jeez.
So
they're insane.
Pretty crazy stuff.
Pretty crazy.
And then the back cover is a sombrero paying homage to, which one is this? After the Lawrence of Arabia poster.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
That's what I was going to say.
Good
Good old Larry.
Was it?
All right. Dude, we only got 2 more parts to go.
Is it Girl Walks Home Alone at Night? Is that also...
Yeah, I see. I see that. Well, this came out before Girl Walks Home Alone at Night.
Oh, okay.
This was like 2014,
Mm-hmm.
and Girl Walks Home Alone at Night was like 2016, 17.
Okay. Gotcha.
That movie rocks. If you haven't seen it, Ben.
Yeah. No.
I have not seen it. Girl Walks Home Alone at Night. What cover are you referencing, Manny? Is that a cover that you thought?
Oh
Man.
Is it the faded face with the silhouette of the...
Yeah, it was like the face that you pulled up.
Is it this one?
No, the one that you just had up. The one that you just had up.
Oh, the Lawrence of Arabia.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
yeah, that one, like the Girl Walks Home Alone at Night, is almost like a spin on like the Russian Doll sort of like look.
Yeah.
But like heavy silhouette, just like with a kind of cloaked girl, like red and black and white. It's sick.
Looks great.
I don't have much to talk about in this book except for my 2 favorite death scenes.
Let's go. Let's do it.
Amazing action.
Oh, this issue?
Yeah.
It's absolutely amazing. Don't get me wrong.
Dude, this is what I'm talking about, though, with all the animated... Like, there's even more animation going on. It's just keyframes. This is the coolest keyframes to do.
Yeah, this whole issue is basically like when you're playing a Dark Souls game, and then there's a boss, like an area boss you have to fight.
Yeah.
And then you finish the area boss fight, and there's not like a grace or a bonfire to go to afterwards. It's just the actual boss fight.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Lord, that would destroy me.
Oh yeah.
It happens all the time.
It will destroy you. It will.
So many amazing. I love these little action sequences. Once again, you get a ton of these where they're just multiple fights going through a panel.
I love that.
And then punctuated with these just dynamic shots of him throwing the spear, the samurai catching the spear, and then chucking it back. And I love when it hits Strode, there's actually these action lines showing that when it sticks, it like vibrates.
Yeah.
It does the little because it hits him in his chest and just sticks.
Right in the sternum. I mean, he uses like the animating, the blood and viscera, the fucking like wraps and like bandages on the fighters just twirling and flailing all over the place. Like everything is just going fucking buck wild in these fight scenes.
Yeah. Dude, I love the way that Trad does these folds too, because they're not real folds. Like that would not really work, right? In real life, like looking at that, but he does those pants like on Luther Strode so many times. Even like when people are wearing jeans, he has like the same sort of lines going on through it. throughout it, kind of pointing towards the tension point a little bit, but it's also playing with that idea and making it more designy, and then he just exaggerates it even more, playing with patterns. That's his thing.
Playing with patterns.
So,
loves that. Well,
yeah.
and I love it too because it does give you. He doesn't have to draw a million action lines.
Right.
He's using, you know, you can imagine as the guy's flipping Luther through the air with this spear attached to him and kind of flinging him. Those pants are what imply that action.
Yeah.
So.
Great. Just the rippling of the pants. Yeah.
And like you said, that repetitive pattern, dude, it just works so well.
Yeah. You see it even when he's like standing still too. It's great.
So good.
Oh man, the cubes on the ground when he gets tossed into the ground. Just like the brokenness that's going on. It's just perfect cubes. It's fantastic.
Here comes the power bomb. You called that out, Kev, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, the power bomb is amazing.
Yeah.
You get the one where he's pushed up in the air by the spear. The other guy just grabs him and just massive power bomb. I do like the little butt cheek, tighty whities going on.
Yeah, dude, he's got a fucking great ass.
But don't. He definitely poops with that butt, dude. That's for sure.
And we get the conversion of Delilah here. He finally convinces her. There's another way. She's gonna step right through his skull and decides not to. Petra. Petra's about to have what would you call that guy? The dude with all the wraps and everything. He's got like the painted face. He's so cool.
Well, I don't know. I just felt like they were both like very one's like heavily African and the other's like heavily South American, like Aztec Incan.
There you go. Like the Aztec or Incan guy hears Petra outside and is like, "Yeah, I'll go murder her." And Delilah stops him.
He's just like bouncing, like excited. That's what I get at least with that.
Yeah. Well, I also love that
Like,
that's the bullet
ooh.
hole starting to form in the doorway too.
Uh-huh.
Like that impact.
Was that the bullet hole? I thought that was. Didn't someone hit that door earlier?
Yeah.
Yeah, he had tossed the Incan guy, and the Incan guy like caught himself and rebounded off the door.
Yeah.
But that's enough of a crack. To your point, that's enough of a crack for the Incan guy to punch Delilah through that hole.
Oh yeah.
Because the bullets are about to come very soon. Which, number one, my favorite,
Yeah, that
not
part.
my first favorite kill, my second favorite kill, I would say.
It's a Rambo.
It is Petra, my girl.
Rambo move.
Oh, total Rambo move.
This motherfucker is 6,000 rounds a minute.
Yeah, not
what
running.
a great line.
What is that?
Just into red dust.
Yeah, the mist.
Yeah.
Just like no sight of him. Like even when he's dead, it's just like a pool of guts and blood.
Yeah.
And it's even bubbling on the guns because of the heat.
Yes.
That's great.
Off the barrel. Oh my gosh. Love that. And then Petra whips it around. How lucky do you feel, like pointing the gun at Delilah? She's like, we should talk.
What was that? Modernity.
Yeah, that was a good one.
And then like this sequence of the Japanese guy sword fighting, those lines, I'm so into animating swords like that. That's fucking sick.
Yeah. I have to steal that.
So, I think Manny and I will both be stealing that for something. Just.
He is beaten.
Oh, dude, this is amazing, and I love what's called out here. God, this is not this. I would think falls down in my death list, but they're gonna do the beheading to Luther, and Luther pulls the African dude right there as our samurai just cuts him in half.
It's just like a perfect pull. Yeah. He's like, oh shit.
And look at the blood spray.
Yeah.
Hits back of Luther's heels and like pools and coagulate. Oh, dude, it's insane. And then whipping the guy around and chucking it at the samurai.
And then
And the
slice them
samurai
up.
just. It's insane.
Yeah, cuts the raw meat, like the prime raw meat from Legend of Zelda.
Oh, dude. So good. So good.
Just cuts them into steaks. I also love the coverage here with the swords flying and like choosing to make them just the corner of this panel that's mostly like a gradient back. Like really
they're going a far distance.
Oh yeah.
Time to set up some conversation with Delilah and Petra as they come back in.
Them cheekbones. Gosh, he looks so good.
Who, Delilah's cheekbones or the samurai?
The samurai.
Yeah.
I love everything. I love that repetitive wrinkle on his forehead to the bags under his eyes down to his, like, it's awesome.
Yeah, his outfit is so great. It's just flowing, man. Very good.
And he goes to kill Kane and just
dude, he's just like, okay, I support you. Let me go real quick. He's like, wait, no, right now.
First favorite kill, number one favorite kill, right here. I can't even give it. I love that. Kane breaks his chains, cuts his head off, and it just goes spiraling up to the panel above. Because when I turned the page the first time, and I even did it when I read this again, I'm like, wait a minute, why is there some random head there? It's like, oh, that's right. You know, Kane was bound and then cut this dude's head off and just
he got him.
Sends it flying into the panel above.
Man.
And big boss time, baby. Big boss time.
Big boss time indeed. So a good exercise for people trying to learn volume and stuff is to follow the form, right? With that wire that you can see on his pants, on Kane's pants and stuff, and his whole body. It's a good exercise to do when you're trying to figure out form and volume. And literally Tradmore is doing this as like a character design. And it works so good. It looks so good. I love it. I love that thing. It's like the wire frame, you know?
Yeah.
My face cam fucked up for some reason.
We lost Kev. We lost Kev.
Also, move your face cam down here.
Yeah, look at that. Look at that guy.
So pretty. And we're done with the twin story. We did our 4 parts, but we do get another sombrero cover on the back.
Oh yeah, that Bruce Lee.
Yep. So this one from the 36th chamber of the Shaolin.
Oh, that.
Yeah.
That movie rocks. I don't know if you've ever seen that, Ben.
Dude, I gotta have a movie watch night and just watch all these awesome movies that I'm too much of a Neanderthal to watch on my own.
Oh, dude, the 36 Chambers of Shaolin it's just like, well, it's where a bunch of the 36 Chambers Wu-Tang album comes from.
Yeah.
Wu-Tang Clan.
It ain't nothing to fuck with.
That's right.
But in our final chapter of Luther Strode, we're finally hitting it.
Yep.
We're an hour and 50 minutes into this, so we won't dwell on this for an incredibly long time, but it is kind of the meat and potatoes, the whole point. And this is like the counterpoint to like, this is the explanation of why fascism is good, is basically what Kane is doing. That governments and leaders come and, murder is the religion and I've built it, like basically the power structure of murder that all of this is being built upon is Kane's will and his doing. And in Kane's eyes, it's a good thing. And just in case anybody was a little unclear, and if anybody likes moral ambiguity in a story, I get it. But I feel like I should say that murder is bad.
What?
And you should not murder people. Okay. Now that we're all on the same page, we can proceed from here. But just in case anyone was wondering, murder is bad.
Yeah, murder not good.
Murder's bad, okay. Man. But I mean, speaking of murder being bad, but like look at these panels of him killing people.
Dude, the action sequence again, just astounding. Kane playing around with Musashi's head like it's a flippin' toy.
Dude,
Right.
when he throws the spear
Yeah.
and Luther like cuts it
Man.
and then it stabs Delilah in the titties. Fucking fantastic.
The shoulders, but yeah.
That's titty meat.
But I love the fact that this is all happening from, the camera's perspective. We're watching
Yeah, we're
to the
following
freaking
them.
head.
Yeah.
Throws Musashi's head, like Luther cuts the head in half and then throws that spear, cuts the spear, hits Delilah in the shoulders, and Delilah, it hits her so hard she flies back into Petra. And you're like, wait a minute, so what's the scale of this? And then you get that. Like, oh wait, this is how far apart everyone is now. That showing you the total action sequence in the top panel of the next page. It's flippin' insane.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so good.
And like him throwing this blade into like Luther, and then like in the next page it just explodes and shatters.
Oh man, yeah.
It's so cool. And then like sends the splinters flying back at Petra and Delilah. And like then we get like the Matrix fight sequences of the two of them, like fully animated.
Zoom.
Going at it. Two titans, like, back to our James Heron, this is how gods fight.
Right.
Dude, I love number one, gotta call this out because you've said this a couple of times, Kev. Luther is the one that's highlighted in red in all this.
Yeah.
Like our peaceful guy who's trying to save everybody is the one in red. And you've got Kane who's wearing white and black. And dude, yeah, his little finger poke of like paralysis where he hits Luther 4 or 5 times and Luther doesn't even get to move. So freaking crazy.
Yeah, this warping of all the tiles.
Whoa.
Like, Trad was just setting up this whole room to be made of square tiles exactly for the payoff of these shots.
Yeah.
Like, so that he could warp things and just...
It's like, this will be cool.
Oh, dude, and when Delilah comes in to try to save him, and Kane uses whatever his hypnosis is, and you go to like hers, where immediately blood comes out of her nose, her eyes, her ears, her mouth, and her eyes. Like, I love how each eyeball, like the eye is going in 3 different directions, because that's how much he's messing her up with this.
Yeah. That's great.
Crazy.
And, Petra goes to shoot him, and, like, Kane doesn't give a shit. He's like, I don't like these weapons, basically. Like...
He chucks Delilah. It's like, well, she's a weapon. There you go.
Yeah. How about that?
Yeah, I love the belt of bullets like stretching from the gun as he gets thrown. There are so many like creative and dynamic ways that he's like conveying the movement and the animation and every fight. Like, what's blowing my mind is that how consistently he's relying on different techniques to like exaggerate what's going on in a fight. Like, he uses multiple ones throughout, but like he's introducing new things all the way up until the last issue.
Yeah.
Which is crazy.
He's got to keep.
And can I tell you, I started to get really concerned, guys. Super concerned when Kane grabs Petra and starts digging his fingers into her chest. I'm like, please don't kill my girl. Please, yeah, exactly. Please don't. Petra gets that little knife out too. Dude, I don't know what I'd ever do with a knife like this. But I love the fact that like the knife has a projectile blade.
Yeah.
So she gets a shot in, He stops her hand. She pushes that trigger, and it just goes right into his cheek.
Yeah.
And
It's
a
like,
great detail
no.
of that is that the way those knives work is that it's actually pressured CO2 gas, like,
Mm-hmm.
and so you get that little gas cloud. Yeah,
That's cool.
like those knives are
Mhm.
real. You can buy those knives.
There's some onomatopoeia, guys.
There it is.
And that's what prompts Luther. I said, don't touch her.
Oh,
And, you know, this is where we relay this point home really heavily. Like, these people make you weak. Your attachments are going to be the death of you. And, you know, what does Luther say? But, like, I can't defeat you. We can. Right?
Yeah.
The power of friendship.
Power of friendship is important.
well, and I just love what's the motivation? You know, he said that they're a distraction, but he goes, imagine what I'll do to them once you're dead. And that's the driving thing. He's like, I am. That's what I'm imagining, and that's what I want to stop. And holy
Man, look at those
crap.
poses. Look at those poses. It kind of like. Do you think this is like a little callback to Rocky a little bit? I don't know.
Just maybe. Because look at the back.
That's good. Yeah. Apollo Creed, Rocky Balboa. Was it Rocky 3 when that ending happens? Yeah.
Oh,
Freeze frame.
Is it?
I think so.
Yeah, but you can't beat me. You're right, Kane. I can't beat you. We can. And, you know, we in those inserts, we have Kane, you know, all the inserts of Petra and Delilah and Luther. But we can't. You see the bullets flying.
Oh yeah.
And I didn't realize this is how much I was just into the action. I realized that when I've read this back, because I was like, wait a minute, how did they take him down? It's when Petra fires, like, Kane loses a leg
Yeah.
and kind of most of another. I love Petra. She fires that gun, and then you see, like, when she stops, everything is that really muted tone, and there are tears just rolling down her face because she had to shoot Luther.
It's the only way that it could happen. And, like, the death scene is feels so good. Picking up the stone. I'm sorry.
Yep.
Boom. And again, another gorgeous 2-page spread.
With the animation involved, too.
Yeah. What a way to do it.
Man.
And Luther just
That
collapses.
was satisfying enough. What I love here is on that next page where you get that single panel, there's just mushed brain and flesh.
Yeah, that shit is grotesque in the best way. And he's devastated. Tears are streaming down his cheeks. But Petra gives him that big old smooch.
With all the blood on his face.
So what now? We go home. No. Wait, what? This isn't over. And I like that they end this with enough, like, we can go out and round up all the bad guys, like, kind of energy. We have to show them there's another way. We have to show them how. How to do what? Better. Full Goku.
Yeah. No blood on him either in this one.
Nope. He is fully back to himself. He is uncorrupted. He's even got the softer eyes.
Is he bigger?
He's huge.
Yeah, he's Luther. I don't know that he's bigger, but he's a lot bigger than he was in Legend.
That's for sure. Yeah, that's for
and
sure.
there you go, Ben. There's a Petra variant cover for Strange Talent.
Yeah. Yeah. That one's all you, bud.
With the guts and limbs flying behind her.
Kind of looks like Jamie Lee Curtis.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, in True Lies.
Yeah.
Some great variant covers and back matter in this collected edition.
Oh yeah.
That is also in here. We get a topless Petra here, Ben.
What?
Oh yeah.
Why am I
Covering her tits.
Why am I feeling like I'm being left out?
Yeah, and then there's like more of the back matter from past issues with these back covers. Throughout, we've kind of gone through these as we've gone through all 3 volumes of this, so kind of why I'm flipping through. I love the spreads in the back where we get full trad for like the legend stuff. These things are fucking grotesque and crazy. So many fun variants. So much violence. The guy with the phone with Twitter lodged in his head. I love it. But y'all, if you don't own this book and you don't own the single issues, I strongly recommend that you go out and get this entire collected edition. It's missing some of the stuff from the single issues, as Ben had in the back, which is a little sad, but it's got the complete thing. I mean, it's great to read through this all at once. It's really fun to watch Trad level up volume over volume.
Right.
This is an all-time great in comics. This is just an absolute blast. Huge fan of Justin and Trad and Felipe and what they've done here. Closing thoughts, fellas.
It's fantastic. I love Trad. Boom.
Yeah.
Well, so I have to say, I agree 100%. This is in my top 5 all-time favorite comics ever, because it just shows you, from a visual story perspective, just the height of heights, like how you can tell things visually. And I often was thinking to myself, all right, it's been several years, maybe we'll get another Luther Strode. And I don't think that we ever will. And I'm honestly, I have to just be fine with that. I think it's funny because it's actually Justin that puts in the back of the last issue of Legend. And he just simply states, it's over. And the reason it's over, as you can see, we've reached the end of the story. Luther isn't dead. Petra is very not dead. And there's work to be done. But we've actually reached the end of Luther's story. Strange Talent was about getting what you want and finding it wasn't what you wanted. This was about wanting the right things. It was about accepting what you are and trying to be better and knowing that you won't always be able to do better, but you can try. And that's Luther's story, and it's done. I don't think anything else I can say about the book is better than what Justin can say. But if you have not read any of the Luther Strode books, I 100% agree with what you said, Kev. Go out, go to your local comic book store, either pick up the single trades for each arc, or buy that gorgeous compendium that you guys have. Because
thick.
Oh, it's thick. It's beautiful. You get, while you may not get some of the other additional shorts that you get in Legacy and Legend, you get a lot of the intercommunication and how they created it all, which I know you said, Kev, is just really cool seeing the initial communication between Justin and Trad talking about ideas for the original concept. So I would say go buy it. There's no reason this should not be on your bookshelf.
Fairly reasonably priced. This is only $40 for this collection.
Go do it.
500
Which
pages.
Yeah, it's
a lot.
It's like at least 400, 500 pages. It's huge. You're getting nothing but quality. I will say, if you got like a compendium or omnibus of this size from like Marvel or DC, you'd be looking at least 60. So 40 for this is a steal.
Yeah.
I will say it's not a coffee table book. Especially
really heavy. It's really heavy to read.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially if you have kids, the blood and gore probably not great for them to just have access to, but
Yeah, this is a hard rated M for mature.
Yeah, big time. But fantastic.
I mean, good comic. Yeah.
Please
it makes me want to make comic books, right? I think that's
seeing him level up throughout the whole thing is definitely like every time I see those little tiny panels on those pages, I'm just like, I gotta do something like that. That's awesome. That's too cool. Really makes me want to ink with a brush though, like full on brush. So
do it. Get a Pentel.
I will do it. Watch me.
But for those of you who hung out for 2 hours with us, whether that be live with us on stream or over the video, watching it later on YouTube, thanks for sticking it out.
Yeah.
It's a pretty big commitment. So I hope this was nice material for you to sit. And I don't know if you're working or maybe you're drawing and listening along. Maybe you're just into having us on as background noise. Or if you engaged and watched the full 2 hours, regardless, thank you. Next week we will be covering Donnie Cates and Daniel Warren Johnson's Ghost Fleet.
Oh.
I'm very excited.
Yeah.
It's one of our favorite books, so we're excited to dig into that. Please, if you want to get in touch with us, reach out to us on socials, Instagram, Mouth Breathers Guild LLC, or Kiwi Spicy, or the Manny Draws, or Ben_Hill_art. Or you can join our Discord, which the link is in the link tree, either linked here on the YouTube, whatever you're watching. You can find us, like it's linked as many places as it can be. Check our link tree wherever you may find it. You can even find that on our physical books. Get our physical books, read us on Webtoons, do the whole thing. Any last things we want to say to the lovely people before I end the stream?
Oh, just I love you. Thanks.
I love you.
Thanks for sticking with us. This has been a blast, and I know I can't wait to jump into the next stuff. We're going back to Daniel Warren Johnson, and this will be the first Donnie Cates story that we cover, but won't be the last.
Yeah, for sure.
For sure.
All right.
Night, y'all.
See you.
Adios.